till I reach the top somehow. I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on, till I reach the top somehow. I'll keep moving on.
Okay, my Straight Talk family, it is that time when I should and would bid you a very pleasant night wherever you are in St. Kitts and Nevis, and wherever you are in the entire Caribbean region. To my Straight Talk family in the Kittitian and Nevisian diaspora, I say greetings to all who are logged on to my social media pages on YouTube, also on Facebook. That's Straight Talk with your humble servant, Ian Patches Liburd. And if you're joining me for the first time, I must welcome you. We always have first-timers, and I'm happy for those who are sharing the information on this very important program in our federation that's heard every Monday, beg your pardon, and Thursday from 8 to 10 in the PM. And for the first-timers, you can be informed that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On this program, we provide that forum for you to express yourselves. And in the process, we try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liburd, and I thank Almighty God for blessing me with another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And my Straight Talk family, as your host, I strive to be or to remain an untiring advocate of truthfulness, I do not water down anything in any way, whether by omission or exaggeration, to make it sensational or to make it more interesting. Because I consider it my duty to always present the unvarnished truth, especially about governance in my country. And I'm in a sad mood, and many of you, I know, are in a similar mood. And my thesis for tonight, I always have a short thesis where we focus on a particular issue or issues. And my thesis for tonight I've titled Things in St. Kitts and Nevis Are Getting Worse. But let me hail my young brigade, and I found, or I met another young brigade just yesterday by the name of Dwayne. His parents introduced me to him. I forgot to ask his age, but I'm sure he's not more than 4 or 5 years old, if so much. And they informed me, his parents, that every time he hears the theme song for Straight Talk, and then I come to the screen, or even before I come to the screen, he'd be shouting, "Papa, Papa, 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 Papa." He's telling his papa and his mama that Straight Talk is about to start. I'm also reminded of Tristan, who he always alerts his mom about Straight Talk every Monday and Thursday. His mom said that to me. And my young brigade, Shama, I'm almost feeling like he's my son. Young Shama, son actually of our departed brother who left us some months ago, a month or two ago, OJ. Kevin Hanley in Nevis, whom I met as well. And he was due to embark on his secondary journey at this Charlestown Secondary School. And trust by now he has settled down and doing well. But in particular to the young folks who, for some reason, find some interest in Straight Talk, I welcome you all. And I also say welcome to a special lady, not in St. Louis tonight, but she's from St. Louis. And I welcome her as well. And all I know, that has created a lot of questions, or stimulated a lot of questions, especially from my queen over there in Texas. And my New York posse, Georgia, Boston, Las Vegas. How could I forget Las Vegas, my big brother? San Francisco, Los Angeles, New Jersey and Pennsylvania, Philadelphia as well. Or let's say all over North America, because I need to call Toronto, Montreal, and all over North America, I should say. Norman, Danny in the UK, and the leaders in the UK as well. And all who are on the World Wide Web. I can say good morning, I can say good afternoon, and I will also say good night, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. In Africa, in Europe, in Asia, and I said all over North America. And my Straight Talk family, I just heard of some breaking news, and we've had another murder in St. Kitts, taking that tally to 21. But I also heard of the sad passing of Winston McMahon sometime last week, and I must therefore extend sincere condolences to his brothers, Ira and Nigel McMahon, and to their entire family left to mourn his loss. I've always said that only who feels it knows it. So beyond extending my condolences, I want to let Ira and Nigel to know as someone convinced me years ago when I lost my mom. And I was crying. I was crying like a baby in public. Yes, it's good to cry. Then someone put his hand on my shoulder and said, these comforting words, I found those words comforting back then. So I like to share them. To wit, death is a process. And my Straight Talk family, I also want to recognize as well the passing of a lady whom I refer to as my neighbor. Yes, she was my longtime neighbor down there on Pickens Street. And I learned today that she has gone to the great beyond. Some people call her Ruby Matthew. I know her as Ruby Thomas. And next month she would have been 103 years old. Yes, centenarian. She's 102 years and almost 103 years. I think she was born sometime in October. And there are others who may have lost loved ones that I'm unaware of, but to them I also impart comforting words, my Straight Talk family. We usually as well have our observations in review, which is the time when we highlight the issues of the day and do some reflection in the process. We may then ask a few questions, such as what was accomplished, how has it helped others, what has changed since, and what can be expected. Also, what new we have learned as a people. And I saw this picture of the West Bus Line terminal and felt compelled to congratulate the Independence Committee, whoever comprised that committee. I felt compelled to congratulate that committee for sprucing up the area so nicely at this time. And I saw that, or those decorations on the West Bus Line terminal. And doesn't it look real international? But while I was admiring the flag decorations, though, I was reminded that this and other terminals, including the ferry terminal next door, were all constructed during the 7 years of the Team Unity administration. So contrary to what some may want others to believe, many great things happened under Team Unity. Many great things happened under Team Unity, especially in the area of infrastructure development. So I wanted to make that point and, as I said, recommend or commend the Independence Committee. My observation takes me to another masterpiece of construction under Team Unity, which is the National Heroes Park at Connery. And back in 2018, thousands witnessed the unveiling of the statues that have immortalized the 5 nation builders, to wit the late Right Excellencies Sir Robert L. Bradshaw, Sir C.A. Paul Southwell, Sir Joseph N. France, and Sir Simeon Daniel, as well as the only living national hero, Sir Kennedy Simmons, who have all contributed to the positive development of St. Kitts and Nevis. Dr. Drew, however, has sent mixed signals about the importance of this facility. And many are demanding that he demonstrates or start to demonstrate a level of maturity and put a cessation to the political polarization which seems to be forever peddling within the country. Many believe that the sooner Dr. Drew does the latter, the younger ones amongst us would better understand that the National Heroes Park was designed to create that nexus or that link to our past as a Twin Island Federation. And on September 16th, it's a day when we must all come together as one people and without distraction, and to maturely recognize my Straight Dog family, the contribution of our national heroes, the people from all walks of life, from all political persuasions, must come together and maturely recognize the contribution of our national heroes. So we are asking humbly for Dr. Drew to desist from the political polarization, especially around this time of our independence and going on to independence 40 years of independence, having achieved that status way back on September 19 in 1983. So we ask humbly that at this time of Prime Minister Dr. Drew. And our third observation relates to something we brought to the fore some months ago. Yes, Straight Talk exposed a sinister plan by the Drew Labour administration to forgive the $130 million debt owed to the people of this country by the Christopher Harbour development. Remember that we told you back then that the Christopher Harbour and its owners had done nothing except make millions in this country. I read an article in Super Yacht Fan, beg your pardon, which reported that one of its stakeholders, Charles Darby Charles Darby's strategic investments, to be exact, and successful developments have culminated in an estimated net worth of $100 million US. In the said article, Darby was credited with the creation of Christopher Harbour. And a quote from the article reads, "Not one to rest on his laurels, Darby explained his portfolio to include the stunning Christopher Harbour." It continues, "This exclusive residential resort community, nestled in the heart of St. Kitts, is another feather in Darby's cap. Christopher Harbour," it continues, "features a variety of luxury amenities, including a super yacht marina that attracts elite travelers from all around the globe, the private beach club, an award-winning beach bar, a 5-star Park Hyatt hotel," which he claims, but it's not his, Range Development did that, "and a championship golf course designed by Tom Fazio, further elevate the resort's charm. But these were just taken from a wish list, because the only thing that's happening over there in that development is the continuation of the 5-star Park Hyatt Hotel, which was constructed by Range Development. Mohammed, and I forgot his partner. But after the sweetest of sweetheart deals, my Straight Dog family, we now understand that the St. Kitts, Nevis, and Anguilla National Bank has waived the interest on the millions owed to it by Christopher Harbour. We are investigating, but everyone in the bank is tight-lipped. There is no golf course. There is no Tom Fazio golf course. That area is just filled with bush. The marina is empty. The last year or so, we have not seen 3 slips occupied. But Christopher Harbour got 2,500 acres of prime land, 13 miles of shoreline, and 6 of our best beaches for peanuts, for nuts change, as we say colloquially. Terence Crosman, who is now the managing director of the National Bank, was then the CEO of the SIDF, during which time that $16 million loan was executed for Christopher Harbour. But Terence Crosman, Mrs. Buddy, the chairman of the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank, Mrs. Buddy and her board of directors, will one day have to report to its shareholders. And Dr. Jew must account as well for the people's money from the SIDF that Christopher Harbour still owes. And all I can suggest, it's either the money or the land. Because Christopher Harbour got this, according to Phil Kebb, his then chief executive officer.
Christopher Harbour is 2,500 acres of land. We've got 13 miles of shoreline with the property, 6 beaches, of which I would argue that at least 3 of the 6 beaches are in the top 10 beaches in the Caribbean, which I think says a lot about the natural beauty.
In the top 10 beaches of the Caribbean, which he says a lot about this beauty. But Buddy Darby has been given a joyride over the years, because when you look at the development agreement, he has not held his side of the bargain. My other observation, my Straight Dog family, relates to the scores of Labour supporters that continue to question the wisdom of Dr. Jew, or the lack thereof, such wisdom. Right now he is in Canada. We understand from there he moves on to the United Kingdom. And he has taken as part of his delegation to Canada what many has referred to as his new bellboy, who is a failed PAM politician, Glenroy Freshface Blanchett. And some of his main supporters in St. Peter's in particular are up in arms, my Straight Dog family. They're up in arms because his new bellboy, Glenroy Freshface Blanchett, is with him. And he has apparently discarded his original bellboy, Dillian Edmead, from St. Peter's, who once worked at TDC in the car sales division. But, as I said, he seemed to have discarded Dillian, and many people, especially those in St. Peter's, are upset, really upset, because Dillian was his man of business, but to Jew, he has not brought much to the table, but he prefers to deal with what many call a real flip-flop in the person of Glenroy Blanchard. I reflected as I am presenting my observation in review as well. When I heard Dr. Ju talking about the country wasn't opened and there were no tourists coming until he lifted all the restrictions. And there's lots of song and dance about restrictions. But even up to, I think it was February this year, you could not enter into the US if you're not an American citizen unless you filed your data with Verifly. But I reflected my Straight Dog family, and I observed that since in November 2021, or a matter of fact, they started in October 2021. But even as way back as November 2021, our cruise ships started returning to St. Kitts. And in November, as you can glean from the screen, my Straight Dog family, there were actually 30 calls in November. And as you said, the highlighted in blue are the inaugural calls for the destination. The Celebrity Apex, Ada Perea, Enchanted Princess, and the Seaborn Ovation. And for November, I pulled those statistics to alert you that yes, the country was in fact open. Do not believe what you hear Dr. Ju is saying. But those are my observations in review for tonight, my Straight Dog family. And I here and now would move without hesitation to my short thesis for tonight, which I have titled Things in St. Kitts, Nevis Are Getting Worse. And I submit that politics and the lack of policy are paralyzing our blessed country. On many counts, we can think of poverty, health, safety, food security, and though not exhaustive, we can also think of climate change. Things are much, much worse even after coming out of COVID. Things are much, much worse than they used to be. Imagine during COVID, there was plenty more money circulating in the economy, although people were not working. Then Prime Minister Harris pumped $120 million into the economy. People had their jobs in the civil service. Yes, there were some hiccups with TDC and some others, for those who did not choose to be vaccinated. But I have not necessarily put these counts we made about poverty and health and safety, etc. I have not necessarily put them in order of precedence or in order of the impact they may have made upon our people. Because here in St. Kitts and Nevis, On a regular basis, we hear a plethora of shocking stories of people going hungry or begging in order to survive. That's truth. We hear shocking stories about crime and violence. I've heard one just before going on air tonight. A man stabbed to death on his job. We hear shocking stories about crime and violence, like I said, including high-day armed robberies. You heard just a week or two ago about the double armed robberies of Rams Supermarket in Bird Rock and Camps, respectively, and Rams in Nevis. We have a crisis, my Straight Dog family, within multiple crises. Rising food and fuel costs together with an worsening financial conditions are affecting thousands of people federation-wide. But more troubling for our senior citizens in particular, my Straight Dog family, who are already on low or no income, my Straight Dog family. The situation is bleak, and even more so as our current leaders seem to have absolutely no solutions. I know of more than one case where a single mother bought bread and cheese. One bought bread and avocado, we call them pear, to feed her children, while she herself had nothing to eat. Yes, in my beloved federation. Another single mother even cried out publicly to our Prime Minister for help. But his response provided no hope for her and or many other single mothers in the same predicament. This lady cried out publicly to Dr. Joe.
You know, I think, you know, it's getting tougher and tougher and tougher. Imagine a little tin of sardine for $5. It's ridiculous, Mr. Prime Minister, and we really need a help going to the supermarket to shop, especially for single parents with, you know, children with about 2-3 children in the home. We do have a rough time.
Yes, they do have a rough time. But who would believe that the cry for help from this single mother, who revealed publicly that life in St. Kitts and Nevis is getting tougher and tougher and tougher. She laments the price of a little tin of sardine in the supermarket and informed Dr. Drew in the process of the rough time being experienced by single mothers with 2 or sometimes 3 or more children in the home. Who would believe that this cry for help from this single mother would have extracted this response from a leader in this country, my Straight Dog family?
When the sardine goes up at the manufacturer's end, we have to import that. We don't make sardine here, we import the sardine. If you have increase in food internationally, it will be reflected here. We can't control so much how much a sardine is bought for in America. And we can cut out all the taxes that we want. It can still come in at a cost, and the trader has to make a profit. They have to ship it.
Imagine that response coming from our leader. No compassion, no hope for the future. But the lady spoke about a little tin of sardine costing $5. Don't talk about saltfish and mackerel. The cost of these well, I call them now commodities or luxuries, because once poor people food, sardine and saltfish and mackerel, poor people can't buy that no more. $21 a pound in some cases, and maybe more. And this, my straight talk family, and the response of Dr. Drew is a clear example of a heartless leader who cares nothing about poor people. The lack of progress made under Dr. Drew in our federation's continuing efforts to tackle poverty is well pronounced. Now it's over a year, and we can speak with authority. He lacks a heart. Since Dr. Drew assumed office over 1 year ago, thousands of people have been thrusted into extreme poverty. Or rather, thousands of people have been pushed into extreme poverty. He pledged to increase the Poverty Alleviation Program, or PAP, on his campaign trail. But when he got into office, he significantly cut the budget so as to streamline the program. And this was told to us by his junior minister and Senator Philip.
The budget, we would have had a budget to cover for this year about 4,600, just over 4,600 persons receiving this assistance. That's what would have been budgeted in 2023 budget. We know that was a significant cut to the number of persons who was receiving the $500 last year. But of course, we're trying to streamline our social assistance programs and reduce the level of dependency we have on these programs. And so that was the initial decision that was taken.
Imagine that. This, according to her, was done based on the advice of found in the IMF report. Would you believe this, my straight talk family?
And I actually want us to recognize that the advice we have gotten, particularly from IMF reports, is that we actually need to streamline our social service. And so the truth is, as we look at, especially in social development right now, what we're really trying to do is, as we deliver programs that we know we have had for quite some time, flagship programs, as we look at restructuring current programs, what we're really trying to do is also go through a research and data collection exercise where we can actually assess and get an idea and evaluate what the needs are of people who are most vulnerable. But the thinking is not about expanding social services so that we just increase our social assistance budget, because that is in fact not sustainable. And so we understand, of course, that people need assistance immediately, and we really try to service people who are most vulnerable. And so we also want to be able to apply conditions so that when we ask questions like, how are you using the PAP money? We're not trying to be invasive. We're just really trying to understand if it is that you're using this $500 to pay your lights, if you're needing the money to pay for food.
How are they using the PAP money? Is their business? Could you believe this nonsense, my straight talk family? She spoke to the IMF. Ask yourselves, does these IMF economists have a vote? But poor people do. And I challenge them, I implore them to exercise that franchise whenever the next opportunity comes, and in their own words, get rid of them. Imagine thousands of people applying for assistance from the PAP, the Poverty Alleviation Program, and thousands of them who qualified are still denied such assistance. I represent the facts.
We paid on the 30th of June, I'll get that number for you, 5,361 households are receiving PAP at this time. Remember, when we closed applications in December, 11,639 applied.
Of that number, 8,985 were eligible. All right? And so that now, if you take 5,361 from that number, it's over 60% of the applications are being paid. I know for some persons being in the 40%, to them it's unfair.
It must be. But we ask Almighty, and we pray heaven help the poor people in St. Kitts and Nevis. Under this Jew Labour administration, people got sick, but no longer wanted to go to the JNF General Hospital due to the deteriorating conditions and poor service offered at this once highly acclaimed medical institution. I recall back then when many came from our neighboring islands of Antigua and Barbuda, St. Martin, St. Eustatius, and Saba, and Anguilla, and many other nearby islands in search of professional health care right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Not so today, as revealed by a member of the medical fraternity who wrote on her Facebook page, and I will always remind us about this, my Straight Dog family. She wrote on her Facebook page, my Straight Dog family, and this, what she wrote, is a clear indictment against Dr. Drew and his entire cabinet. Patients are dying in droves at JNF, Dr. Melissa Cable Wilson wrote. That's no idle statement. It's a serious one. Because a large number of patients, my Straight Dog family, are dying at the JN France General Hospital. Straight Dog has confirmed that the well-known former general manager of a well-known radio station was sent by his doctor for a biopsy at the JNF. We know that such a medical procedure can be potentially dangerous. And although Straight Talk cannot confirm the type of biopsy that was administered, sadly, Straight Talk can confirm that the patient is dead. So too in recent times, a newborn baby and a middle-aged woman dead. The pharmacy at the JNF, we are told, is forever out of medication, as well as many health centers around the island. Many are therefore strong in the view that under the leadership of Dr. Drew, the health system in St. Kitts and Nevis is getting worse and not better. And we may soon find that the only outcome to this dilemma is for more patients to die, sadly, at the Joseph N. France General Hospital. What about climate change, my Straight Dog family? Climate change is another example where things are bad and getting worse. The country is experiencing drought conditions, yes. So water is being rationed. My water is off already for the night and may come back tomorrow morning. We pray. But meantime, there is a company engaged, and it seems that its only focus, as I said before, and I will repeat without fear of contradiction, its only focus is to extract money from the two treasuries in St. Kitts and Nevis and not to extract water. The company has found water before, but such water was deemed unfit for human consumption. As we speak, that well is kept since 2017 or 2018, my Straight Dog family. That well at Shadwell 2, is being capped for the last 6 years my Straight Dog family. They have claimed as well to have found water in Keon. And we wish them well. We wish the people of Keon well. They have suffered for decades. But having found this water in Keon, they claim, but that well is also capped, my Straight Dog family. The well in Keon is also capped, my Straight Dog family. It was a town hall meeting. I was trying to listen and hear from the engineer, manager and water engineer, Cromwell Williams. To date, we have only heard from the politicians. They're not important in terms of the water. But the company was also paid $2 million to find water in the Nevis, my Straight Dog family. That company was also paid $2 million to find water in Nevis. Has it found water, my Straight Dog family? That's a question we must ask ourselves. And we will get Mark Brantley to answer that question for us right now.
As I indicated publicly before, we had made a commitment to have an additional 3 wells done at a global cost of 10 million EC dollars back in 2017. In fact, it was in August of 2017 that we paid to a company called Bead just over 2 million EC dollars as a down payment. Bead has never come to do the work for the government. And so we don't have our $2 million and we don't have any wells. We have decided to take legal action against Bead. That is ongoing. So it has not been for want of trying in relation to water.
Brantley said the NIA has not received its money. Now the people of Nevis received the water. So they've taken legal action. I always question one arm of the Federation has hired a company, while the other arm has that company in court. Strange things happen in St. Kitts and Nevis. But climate change has derived a great demand, beg your pardon, as well, for renewable energy. And Team Unity had taken steps to introduce the largest solar farm within the Caribbean, with no capital outlay expected from the government in a public-private partnership arrangement. This project was unceremoniously stopped by the Jew administration for well over 1 year, yet he continues to lie to the country. He has told the country on more than one occasion about renegotiating the project.
We want to get away from fossil fuel and go to renewable energy because renewable energy is the way out. It does not go up and down. That is why we have renegotiated the solar plant and looking for other opportunities.
You know, my Straight Dog family, this is such a blatant lie by Dr. Drew about having renegotiated the solar plant. It is so far from the truth, my Straight Dog family. St. Kitts or Straight Dog must warn my Straight Dog family, Dr. Drew, and his cabinet that the governments of Germany, Canada, and the Swiss government are closely watching this development. Investors as well are closely watching and waiting to see the outcome. To be forewarned, Dr. Drew, is to be forearmed. Dr. Drew and the Soca engineer Conris. Yes, someone said he's a Soca engineer. Dr. Drew and the Soca engineer Conris have blatantly ignored the advice of Senior Minister Dr. Douglas for nigh 1 year to get going. Douglas asked them to get going.
Get going with the solar plant we are trying to establish here. That's what we want to do. And we want to encourage countries who are friendly to us to assist us in this regard. Last week, I haven't told you yet, I had a call from the ambassador of Germany, who is in Barbados, serving in Trinidad and Tobago, serving St. Kitts and Nevis, about their support for solar. This is important. So we need to get going with what we're doing. Get it done so that we can have better lives. People over there want to help us.
They have ignored, my Straight Talk family, the advice of former Prime Minister and Senior Minister, Dr. Douglas, to get going, get the solar farm going. But my Straight Talk family, we are going to hear much more about that. And Dr. Drew and Congress, with their hanky-panky and procrastination, they would all live to regret their actions. My Straight Talk family, the working class under the Drew administration, is suffering the most. And I told you about the PAP. But imagine 2,400 houses are being provided for the middle class, as the majority of persons who seek shelter are unbankable. And this is according to their disgrace Attorney General, who said this.
It is not government buying the houses or NHC buying the houses. It's individuals buying the houses. This is the solution for persons who are bankable and can take a mortgage loan from a credit union or a bank, and they can purchase their one-bedroom house for $111,000, their two-bedroom for $213,000, and their three-bedroom for $497,000.
My Straight Talk family, in closing, our deteriorating health environment in the country is being manifested daily at our health institutions. So bad it reached that it prompted Dr. Cable Wilson to break ranks with the medical fraternity, which I mentioned before. And there is no discrimination as a baby dies at birth. A matured woman suddenly dies after a simple operation. A man who was warded after a biopsy. And a young lawyer died under dubious circumstances. The only response from the minister, who is also Prime Minister, is that he will build a smart hospital. The Joseph N. France General Hospital was constructed, I believe, in 1968 or thereabout. It has survived numerous storms, and it is still standing. What is falling under the Drew administration is the efficient and effective service that we had come accustomed to at the JNF. People in the past, as I said earlier, came to St. Kitts Nevis for health services. Not now. People are afraid now to go to the JNF, even if they got a dog bite. There are no supplies, no medication, and just a bunch of egos, according to Dr. Cable Wilson. But how can I conclude my Straight Talk family without mentioning the crime rate, which has gotten so bad? We worry each day about our safety and security. There are pent-up feelings in everyone, and people are afraid to walk the streets again under Dr. Drew, who is the Minister of National Security. His record now reflects 29 murders in just 13 months, from January to September this year have been 21 murders. The last one committed at about 7 p.m. tonight, following that one committed on Saturday night, the 9th of September. Of these 21 murders for 2023, 20 of them are gun-related. We understand that last murder tonight derived from a stabbing. A young man stabbed on his job. Could you imagine that, my Straight Dog family? This follows that which was reported by Mervyn Thompson of ZIZ TV. She said this.
The police are probing an investigation into the latest shooting incident that left one person dead. On Saturday night, between 11 p.m. and 11:30 p.m., according to police, officers of the Violent Crime Unit of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force received reports of gunfire heard in the Buckley's area in St. Kitts. Further investigations revealed that 24-year-old DeAndre Brown, alias Bush of New Road, St. Kitts, was observed lying motionless on the ground in the movie theater's parking lot. Further examination revealed that Mr. Brown had been shot several times about the body and succumbed to his injuries at the scene. According to police, Brown had been walking in the parking lot when two armed assailants accosted him and opened fire.
That was Saturday. And it took the number rather of murders to 20. And just about 7 o'clock tonight, a stabbing incident on our young man's job killed him dead. It is sad, my Straight Dog family. I'm feeling saddened. For 2023, under Dr. Drew, there have been 21 murders. And it would be foolish to ignore this statistic. Where's Dr. Drew? He's somewhere gallivanting, either in Canada or perhaps already on his way to the United Kingdom. While poverty, violence, and a deteriorating health system, in addition to other awful news heard day after day in our country. But you know what is rather offensive, my Straight Dog family? You never made mention of these murders. Not one word he mentioned. But he speaks about the deaths in Morocco. Cares less about the victims' families, these murders. But you and all the members of his cabinet, along with their large body of ambassadors and special advisors, spend more time traveling out of the country rather than remain inside. It's as though they are running away from the problems instead of finding solutions for them. But we have all learned that if you run from a problem, it will not be solved. And that's why each day things are getting worse in St. Kitts and Nevis. That's my story tonight, my Straight Dog family, and I'm not going to change it. I'm going to open the lines and include your calls. I'll also include your emails. And just to remind you that the numbers, my Straight Dog family, are 869-663-9790 6672. That's our local number. And we do have an overseas line as well, which is 646 829 6672. For those who like the cloak of anonymity, I call it, I provide them access via our email platform. And that email address is Straight Talk Patches. That's one word. STRAIGHTTALK PATCHES @gmail.com. I always like to implore you, before I open the lines, which I'll do anytime now, but let me implore you, my Straight Talk family, to respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure that the things we say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in saying and doing those things, let us also strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. And my Straight Talk family, before we get into the heat of the discussion, and then I overlook this fact as well, I must inform you that come this weekend, the PLP Health Walk would begin on Saturday morning at 5:30 a.m., starting at the Bellevue Hardcourt and ending at the Boreal Strip, where breakfast will be served. An opportunity will be provided to socialize and relax, have fun, play dominoes, etc. I remember the last time I played there, we were undefeated, the champions in the Timothy Harris League. And the sponsor of the league got beaten badly. But yes, come in Saturday morning, starting at 5:30 a.m. at the Bellevue Hardcourt. And this walk ends at the Boreal Strip, where breakfast will be served. Opportunities to socialize and relax, have fun, play dominoes after the walk. A well-stocked bar awaits you. My lines are going. I'm going to guide my callers by the rules of brevity, because the lines have all lit up right away. So let's go to this line and say, caller, you're live. Hello, caller. How are you, sir? How are you? How are you, How are you, Mr. Bibleman? How are you? Good night to you.
And how are you, sir?
I am peaceful. What about yourself?
I'm wonderful, Mr. Patel.
Good to hear you.
God is good.
All the time.
And I'm saying tonight, you see, I'm going to tell you something, Mr. Patel. When I used to work, I know that every day I work, when weekend come, I looking for my payday. So I know one of these days, Mr. Patel, I am going to fire the job. So I look for sheep before dark. So today, I could say, God is good.
All the time.
God is good, Mr. Patel. So I am to lift up my eyes unto the hills. From whence cometh my help, which makes heaven and earth. Mr. Patel, the Lord passes scripture. I ain't going to talk too long. Whatsoever man soweth, he shall also reap. The Bible Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. Brother, you cannot sow oats and get cornmeal. Whatever you sow,
shall reap, yes.
you are going to reap. So let people understand, in this world that we are living, you got to get where you sow. And the most important thing you have to do good. And when you do good,
good will follow you.
You are going to reap good. And when you cast your bread on the water, you shall find it many days after. Mr. Potted, you do that. And that the Lord right now is blessing you. And whatever people do, you come back to haunt them.
Mm-hmm.
Good night, Mr. Potted.
Good night.
Have a pleasant day.
Have a pleasant night as well. We go back to the lines. I want to thank this caller for holding you live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller?
What's up, my beloved brother? How you doing?
Oh, I am peaceful, my brother. I am peaceful. Yourself?
Just good, man. I'm good. Just greetings in the name of our great African ancestors, especially Queen Nzinga and King Garvey. Man, again, murder again.
Sad.
Brother. But we just sad, man.
Yeah, sad.
What the hell is this Israel Megan or what is coming to? Going to the dogs, so to speak? It's a shame, a disgrace, man. Come on, have the team unity. Crime and violence. Bring it down, way down, and now turn to the days in the 90s and them things. I need some other need them people stand up. Man, the time is to vote is people are afraid to enjoy themselves and live happy lives and their families. Come on. But let me just say, Christoph, man, but this is just so disheartening, man. You want to tell me these modern day pirates and vampires control almost the best beachlands in our country?
30 miles ashore.
In our country? Yep. Let me say something too. I got to give the team unity administration a little verbal fire on them, you know. God, they should have done something. It was for the seniors to be beloved brother. Come on, we all know the boy from Semper and his evil empire dead. But Dr. Harrison team and his administration had a child 7 years to do something about that. Come on. And where can people go any part in Europe and do the same thing? No, that could never, ever, ever happen, beloved. Come on, man. And it's just not in, it's throughout the whole Caribbean. You see how the African countries and the African continent is waking up and getting rid of these vampires and pirates. But we got to do something, man. This thing can't continue.
Okay.
What are we going to leave for our children and grandchildren? What kind of example is that, beloved? Come on, man. People got to just get up and demonstrate. Demonstrate that the boy from Monkey Hill don't know what the hell he's doing. He like he's even worse. So far. Look like he's even worse than the boy from Semper. I mean, the boy from Semper is a demon and have no love for our people. But this guy who used to masquerade or in the nation of Islam and say he African conscious and all kind of thing, that was just foolishness. Come on, man. We got to just stand up.
Okay.
We love it. We can't let this thing go on now. But thanks again for hearing me. Continue to listen. Pan-Africanism our place. Well, not my beloved brother.
One love, my brother. Always good to hear you. Team Unity did, in fact, tried its utmost best to recover those monies. Matter of fact, at one time had agreed to the exchange of land until Buddy Darby reneged on the agreement. We know that the National Bank as well had made attempts to recover its money as well. So, yes, in fact, things were done, I know for a fact, under Team Unity. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Patches. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night to all the listeners around the world. Just like you said, whether you're in Asia, Europe, etc. Thank you for having me again, Patches.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
As I listened to you keenly tonight, while I was on a flight to the United States, New York specifically, a murder was in the work going on. And that is very sad. But the question I need to ask in respect to the murders that happened during the Jew administration, what is really going on with these murders? I could understand the robbery because times are hard, times are tough, work is scarce, money is hard to get. More to add, where can one get food to feed their family and themselves? What the hell is going on? The ministers are enjoying their lavishing time traveling. I know you will not lie. You are a man of truth. Your notification or your thesis. Now, I think, as I mentioned last session you had, and the caller that called before me, we have too much recycled politician. Okay? Government is continuous, and all they are doing is carry on the legacy or the culture from one to the next. Yes, it is true. I believe Harris performed lot better than all the previous rulers, leaders, and dictators, because we have dictators to dictate your life, how you should live, and judge. They become judge, jury, and executioner. Not in my damn country. Okay? People, let me talk to you now. We have to get rid of all these recycled politicians. And those who comes in and think they can make promises and turn you all into damn fools. Are you really going to recycle these politicians? Thank God I reached back to New York because I faced hard life in St. Kitts. And I'm going to give you an example. On December 5th, 2022, I was planning to come to St. Kitts, which I did. And I came fully sustainable with my food. The only money I was interested in spending in St. Kitts, apart from giving, helping people, I'm not rich, was to support the local farmers, which I did, and meat, fish, and poultry, which are perishable that I couldn't travel with, is what I was anticipating spending. But you know what happened? My food was lost and damaged due to CASPA custody of my food supply. And they didn't have the damn nerve to find out how I eat, how I drink, how I survive. Knowing that they see this man come with this amount of food to sustain himself and help my people. They never look at me and ask me anything. I had to put my hand in my pocket with my pocket money to sustain myself. But moving forward from that, shame on them, because they have no empathy. They have no kind of sympathy. And people, from my experience, which I cannot detail because time is of the essence, I know people want to get into this show. Get rid of these damn people. I have to run out of St. Kitts. I have to run out of my country because I left broke. They didn't help me back with anything. They didn't give me a voucher, nor nothing. From my experience, what you all are facing there, okay? I was hoping I wouldn't get sick because the room and this JNF hospital, no doctor would touch me in St. Kitts. If I should die coming back to the United States, well, so it would have been. But thank God he held me up. I was able to make it back. They draw me out of my right, my entitlement, or to negotiate without having to go to the High Court.
Okay, my brother.
Okay? And I'm telling people, last but not least, Patches, Labu, I've heard your comments. I'm back in New York. I am interested to meet you. If you have a pen, please take this number, 1-347-460-8192. I expect you to call me because I don't have your number. You have a lot of listeners, you have a lot of followers, and I would like to link up with you so that we could communicate. So, Nabu, this is Winston welcome. I need your support. And if this is the way I have to do it, so it be. Okay? Patches, thank you for the time. I will try to see if I could come with something else, especially with this Christoph Harbour debt forgiveness. Thank you.
Thank you for your intervention. Good night, Patches. Reads this email. After 7 years of peace and tranquility, every law-abiding citizen must now ask themselves what has gone wrong so quickly. Have the murder train left the station? Just sadly asking, reads this email. This other email reads, as that comes, I really have to come back to you. Reads this email. Because you let Dwyer get away with a question he asked you. You recall Dwyer saying to you that he would have liked to ask Harris why all the money Unity spent already on the New Bastille High School project, not one concrete or blocks have been installed. You could have responded this way to Dwyer. And, well, Mr. Asafan, I am certain that my leader and former Education Minister, Honorable Sean Richards, has said that the money spent was for the designing of the school by a foreign reputable company called Stantec, if my memory serves me right. Additionally, you know, Dwyer, the EIA and environmental assessment was also done, coupled with numerous other things tied to the projected school. Then you had all right to say to Dwyer, well, Ms. Asafan, you had your plan to build a new cruise pier. Tell the listeners what were your projected costs you submitted to the team unity government. And when you juxtapose the funds for the school and the new pier for your company, was that word disproportionate? I can't get this other word. Then Azad, you should have asked him what has become of the funds in respect to the golf course at La Valley as well. I want to thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller? Hello, caller. Yes, caller, you're live. Hello. Let's take this other call. Caller, you are live. You can hear me? Yes, go ahead. You are live, caller.
Yeah, you could hear me, Patrick?
We are hearing you loud and clear. The whole world.
Okay. Everything good now. Once you could hear me and the people could hear me.
Yes.
Anyway, good evening to all who are listening to this wonderful, informative, and enlightening and educational program called Straight Talk.
Thank you, sir.
Now, Patrick, I want to begin with ungrateful people. Wicked Taliban dictator people. Like that man from Monkey Hill named Dr. Joe. Now, he is feeding on political envy, grudge, hatred, and all that is bad. Now, you're going to tell me, Team Unity, which you are a part of, they all form what you call the National Heroes Park. And it has Dr. Simeon Daniel from NRP Nevis. He is deceased. Then you have Mr. Bracho. He is deceased from Labour. You have Mr. Southwell. He is deceased from Labour. Mr. France, deceased from Labour. And you have the only last living national hero, Dr. Kennedy Simon. The man is alive. And he is in the national park. And that man from Monkey Hill is so hatred and wicked and bad and do not care about people's lives that he refused to go in the park to celebrate National Heroes Day. He go in St. Paul's, where one statue down there, that's Mr. Bracho. Then they coming up by Industrial Park. Wrong with the little, down the by the little roundabout where Mr. Southwell is. And he refused to go up there. For what? The man is a vindictive man. He do not have no respect. The same Mark Brantley, who's supposed to be on the opposition bench, and who falling behind you, lucky bum pocket, a G-string. Joe don't even respect he, and he don't respect what Joe is doing to his partner in business in Nevis who started the law firm, Daniel and Brantley. Brantley want to get it in your ear. Anybody want to turn ungrateful to people who are being good to you or anybody around? Have nothing to do with them. That is what he's doing to you. Come on. This is the 40 year of independence, as they call it. And up to now, the man still politicking and doing foolishness. He don't want to continue anything that Team Unity started. Anything that Team Unity started, he edged away from it. The last thing he has edged away from that started on the Team Unity is the night market business. The only advertising one now for this time here because independence right here. But as soon as this man independent done, he gonna edge away from the night market. You see, he don't bring back our people on the sidewalk to sell and block up the sidewalk. Block up the sidewalk. When that was clear up on the Team Unity, all that is a Team Unity ain't do nothing. People, you see what this man up to you? He don't care about the country. I'm gonna bang this thing in the head all the time. The little $500 what poor people what in need of, not want, need. Even though you had some greedy people in there cheat the system, but they who cheat the system, they would have been getting better in time to come. He take away the 500 from people, causing people to starve and walking and begging. And some of them turning warbling because they can't do no better. They can't do no better. And he taking the same money was supposed to give to the people them, traveling up and down from plane from one country, he ain't come back here and touch them. He got go in another country. With the same money, wasting it.
Okay,
and let me tell you something. If that man that had any respect for this country, the Federation, he gone away. The Deputy Prime Minister gone away, which is a man from Newtown, Hanley, and he ain't appoint nobody to deputize while he's away. What I tell people? He think he is the Prime Minister for Animal Kingdom.
Okay.
He ain't the Prime Minister for an Animal Kingdom. He's the Prime Minister for a country with people.
Okay.
Anyway, Patrick, since you're saying, okay, let me move along, let somebody else come in.
Thanks for
I'll come back.
Thanks for your understanding,
yes, thank you.
my dear brother. We go back to the line. I want to thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Straight, good evening.
Good evening, my dear brother. How art thou?
What can can I say, my wonderful brother, it's good to hear you one more time.
Oh, likewise.
My brother was just asking me, who is that on the radio? And I start telling him who you is. And I just tell him, look, this is the best thing that's going on in St. Kitts. Because you have children around who are remind the parents that you is under here. And he was there listening and he trying to say, but who he is? He's a farmer. I tell him, no, this is straight talk. He talks the truth. He brings the truth. Yes. So, Mr. Straight Talk, you are doing a wonderful job. Understand? Because my brother come inside and he hear what's going on and he was just amazed. Who was that on the radio? So I tell him about you and he understand what's going on. But I just want to let you know, see, you continue to do what you are doing. Understand? There will be no two straight talk. It's only one Mr. Straight Talk. Smart Straight Talk. That's who you are. Understand? Mr. Smart Straight Talk. And we have to address you the way it is. No. Because you are smart.
Smart is for Joe.
Understand? So I just want to say good night to my sweet sister there in St. Louis and Texas Queen. And in UK, my friend Ellis and his friend there. You guys be good. Mr. Straight Talk, I thank you so much. You continue to do what you do. Turn to Mr. Bibleman. I'm not staying long. Mr. Straight Talk, see you when I see you. Be good.
See you when I see you, my dear brother. Vincent from over there in, is it Philadelphia? I think so. My Straight Talk family, it's 28 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. You may have joined me a little late. And yes, it's always better to be late than never. But tonight we are looking at our thesis. Things in St. Kitts and Nevis are getting worse. They're not getting any better. And just before coming live on the program, we heard of another murder in St. Kitts and Nevis. It has left me somewhat sad because there was a shooting as well. Another murder using firearms on Saturday night. Bring the total murders for 2023 under this Jew administration to 21. Remember, he inherited a situation from Team Unity with the murders at 10. He promised to bring it to single digits. Well, there's an old saying, promises are made for fools, something like that. I understood that many persons bought the St. Kitts Nevis Observer newspaper on the weekend. Reads this email. Because of its caption, former Prime Minister rubbishes $20 million claim. It captivated their attention on display in various supermarkets on the newsstand. I myself was motivated to purchase one despite the fact that I had heard Dr. Harris live on Straight Talk with the story, denouncing Dr. Drew's false claims. However, when I turned to page 3 as indicated by the Observer to read the story, I saw Harris's picture and the headline states former Prime Minister responds to allegations of missing $20 million. But it was Mark Brantley's story they were reporting about Nevis' death and other foolish talk from Mark instead of Harris's story. I don't want to hear nothing from Mark, for he's the worst Minister of Finance Nevis has ever had. Just on an orgy of spending and mismanaging the Nevis taxpayers' money. However, the Observer owes us an apology for the grave mistake, and we demand that the story of Dr. Harris be published for this Heroes Weekend. Reads this email. And this other email reads, my Straight Talk family. Good evening, Patches. I hope all is well with you. I have a question. What is the role of the government's internal audit department? It is alleged that the pace of this ministry is misappropriating the funds allocated to the capital projects and much more. It is also alleged that the minister is fully aware of the PS's actions. What should the internal audit department do? Well, the director of audit is a constitutional position. I can get that for you before the program is wound up, but it's an office appointed under the Constitution or referred to in the Constitution. I have not heard too much positives about St. Kitts. You do a good job of keeping persons away from visiting. Water, another basic solution. Just build a system. Why wait for government? Reads this email. Well, yes, emailer, we don't vanish the truth. We tell you like it is. We're not going to tell you it is gold when it is something else. I understand that to add insult to injury, while the Jew administration has unceremoniously discontinued the solar project by Leclanche, where the country didn't have to spend a cent, they have entered into a solar project involving the Afrexim Bank, which is expected to cost taxpayers a bundle in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Are they crazy or what? Reads this email. And this other email reads, Patches, you said there are 21 murders, but put the figures into proper perspective. You have to add the murders in 2022, and you will see that the picture since Jew and the labor crew took over. Yes, since Jew and the labor crew took over, is 29 murders, and you're correct. We can do that quite easily. As a twice-yearly visitor to St. Kitts, I am dismayed at the latest outbreak of murders on your beautiful country. My family and I have always looked forward to our time in your country, but now I no longer feel that St. Kitts and Nevis is safe as a vacation destination. What is happening to your nation? The nation seems to have lost its direction and its soul. How sad. Reads this other email. I'll dispose of the emails, my Straight Talk family. And this other email reads, it's quite a long one here. Good evening, Patches. Here's my input. Do you remember the popular Netflix show recently called Money Heist? That is seemingly the current administration we have led by Dr. Jew. It is unfortunate that after campaigning to people with false promises and capitalizing on Team Unity's demise, Labour candidates and their closest friends have hijacked the money in the economy. After tricking and lying to people, some of whom switched their vote from PAM and PLP to Labour, many have left victimized, branded, targeted, and without proper income. Labour has turned off funds in the economy and clearly has no plan to reignite it anytime soon. But why? Here are my observations. 1. Labour seems to be the government to ensure people are poor, so they can tout we are the government for the people or for the poor. But who the hell wants to be poor? is a shameful comment in itself. The country and citizens, from ordinary man to wealthy, saw the most money passing through their pockets ever. 2, the government clearly disconnected is worse. The government clear disconnect is worse than T-Unity in its last year. They are not together, and it's evident. The country is running without order and cohesion. Now, while this does not affect them financially, guess what? Who feels it most? Our citizens, the elders, the children, the poor, and even the middle class, which Labour have perhaps wiped out by now. 3, it is blatantly clear, beg your pardon, that Labour finds pleasure in expanding the wealth gap. I can't fathom how our citizens are so smart, yet so distracted and often too slow to realize that if Labour's current candidates get a full 5 years, by the time we get the next elections, they will not care to run again, because their pockets will all be lined with millions. And 4, crime is high, and the reason for that is clear. People are broke, upset, jealous, envious, hateful, and cold because Labour has created a state of anarchy. We literally expected them to make the country better as they promised. Instead, they have cut off the finances of people from poor to wealthy and expect for it to be total chaos. Now they will pay the price, and sadly the nation is bleeding. The opposition is weak. Wake to hell up. The people need to take action, and they will. Wait for it. Read this email. My Straight Talk family, it's 22 minutes before the 10 o'clock hour. Our lines are open. The numbers again, 669 or 663, beg your pardon, 6672. That's our local number. And our overseas number, 646-829-6672. I must remind you as well that that overseas line has access to WhatsApp as well, my Straight Talk family. But if you join me late, then I must inform you that our theme or our thesis for tonight, we titled Things in St. Kitts and Nevis are getting worse. And my Straight Talk family, we made the point that here in St. Kitts and Nevis, our country is paralyzed. We made the point that politics and the lack of policy are what's paralyzing the country. On many counts, we can think of poverty, health, safety, food security, and though not exhaustive, we can also think of climate change. Things are much, much worse than they used to be. And I have not necessarily put them in order of precedence or in order of the impact they have made upon our people. Because here in St. Kitts and Nevis, on a regular basis, we hear a plethora of shocking stories of people going hungry or begging in order to survive. While Jew and his cabinet are gallivanting the world, flying here, there, and everywhere. And when we hear about the shocking stories about crime and violence, just tonight, a young man stabbed to death on his job. Saturday night, another man shot dead, riddled with bullets. And this can only tell us that in St. Kitts Nevis, we have a crisis within multiple crises. Rising food and fuel costs, together with ever worsening financial conditions, are affecting thousands of people all around the world. And our leaders have no response whatsoever. Could you imagine, my Straight Talk family, a single mother calling to a program on which the Prime Minister appeared and cried for help? She said this, my Straight Talk family.
I think, it's getting tougher and tougher and tougher. Imagine a little tin of sardine for $5. It's ridiculous, Mr. Prime Minister, and we really need a help going to the supermarket to shop, especially for single parents with, children with about 2-3 children in the home. We do have a rough time.
Yes, a rough time, she revealed to the Prime Minister. But more troubling for our senior citizens, in particular, who are already on low or no income. The situation is bleak, and even more so, our current leaders have no solutions whatsoever. When, for example, our leader can say this in response to that lady, it tells you where his head is at, my Straight Talk family, and that is not good at all. He literally tells the lady that we don't make sardines, we import it.
When the sardine goes up at the manufacturer's end, we have to import that. We don't make sardine here, we import the sardine. If you have increase in food internationally, it will be reflected here. We can't control so much how much a sardine is bought for in America. And we can cut out all the taxes that we want. It can still come in at a cost, and the trader has to make a profit. They have to ship it.
Yes, he thinks about the profits. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, I want to thank you for holding your live.
Okay, I gotta get my second due. Now, the old saying is that you got to learn to dance a yard before you go abroad. We have sympathy on the people in Morocco with what happened to them up there. Over 2,000 and odd lost their lives in that earthquake. When that Taliban boy from Monkey Hill going to send sympathy to Morocco, I never once hear him send sympathy to the people in here in the Federation who get killed. Never. And most times, when someone get killed, here he think it. And when he do come back, it's like nothing happened. Nothing happened. He's not genuine. He's not sincere. He only in there to full up his long pocket them. Sorry about that. And see how much he could put in himself as a 2-foot cash pan. A 2-foot cash pan he is. That's all he concerned about. Money, money, money. And then move up to big houses, lavish house. Where he was living at Monkey Hill is not good enough for him. That's why he moved the judge and gone up there. And also then got police guarding his son in school. What happened to the other children then? What are they going to think about when they see a police in the guarding one person? That is not good. Example. Evil thing as evil does because he got evil in his heart. That's the reason why he put police up there. This man here, look how many murders. How many murders in this country? And he ain't coming out and speak publicly and dwell on that. And tell the people what he would like them to do. Stop the murdering and whatever is causing it. Speak out and let him know. And he got an idea what is causing it. I do not condone wrong. Robbing people is wrong, but pressure does make water go uphill. And pressure and bad living life does make people do a lot of wrong things that they never intend to do in their life. Joe, that is your responsibility to look after the country, the safety of the country, not travel from plane. Because every time the plane rolls up in the air with you, it's a load of US money in your pocket. That's why you're going with so every minute. But anyway, Patches, it is time for action. Time for that. Everybody, all our opposition, and the road man.
Okay.
That boy, the Blanchett who he gone with. You forget what Blanchett do? Blanchett went up there to threaten Douglas to fight. Up by Washi School. Blanchett is not no labor person. He's an opportunist. And look what you do. A lot of children come out of school right now and they work. And you can't protect them old warriors, them soldiers who can't even limbo to go on that piece of stick. Okay. And take them back and give them big salary, and some of them done on pension. That thing is not right.
Okay.
Not right. And we need demonstration to move him out of office. Good night, again.
Good night, my brother. Thank you for your interventions as usual. It's 9:47. Let's take as many calls before we wind down or wind up on the top of the hour. I know of cases, my Straight Dog family, I know of more than one case where a single mother with 3 children bought bread and avocado to feed her children, and she had nothing or ate nothing. Caller, you're live.
Good evening, Mr. Liburd.
Good evening, my lord. How art thou?
I'm not as good as you for sure. You're on top of the world, man. You're having a great night tonight.
All that glitters is not gold, my dear brother.
Right. But as a former Minister of Infrastructure, you can probably give me some guidance here. Some time ago, we heard that a smart road with smart sidewalks was going to be built leading up to St. Peter's. Mm-hmm. What has become of that? What has your investigation indicated?
Well,
because
sorry. Now, I would say that I understand that the last I heard of him or that project, it was that the tenders were out or just came back, something like that. So I'm not.
Oh, I see. Okay, so okay, they do have money. They do have money for that. I thought they spent the money on the batch
museum.
What you call it, museum.
Well, I saw that project was actually approved in the estimates for 2023. The only thing it was estimated at $7.7 million, if my memory serves me well, but there were only $5 million allocated from revenue in the budget. Knowing how they operate, I'm sure that they're gonna bust that budget, but they wouldn't spend all the $7 million if that's what the cost of the road because the year is almost done. But what is very strange? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what is very strange? I remember when we started doing the sidewalks, we were criticized for providing pedestrian access, but they're just doing a replica to what Team Unity did. But I'm sorry.
I understand that. Yeah. Yes. The other thing though is that you drive around a lot. I would imagine. I know that the roads in St. Kitts are going bad, like the bypass road built by the Douglas administration. I don't know if the Gallivant is targeted him too, but that needs a lot of work, man.
Yes.
And so one would figure that there should be some money. These are not project thing. This is a continued expenditure from the public works. Mm-hmm. And the money is there for that, but a lot of the roads are pretty bad.
That is true.
So we have to ask Mr. Drew, the Gallivanter, what he planned to do about these roads, because he costing people money, man. He mashing up people with all these bad roads.
Well, it's we have over 105 mile stretch of roads, and when we did the Island Main Road, it exposed what we call the secondary roads, because no matter what he says, St. Peter's is a secondary road, and I think you're referring to the F.T. Williams Highway.
Yeah, that is true too. But Well, other part, I know that they started doing some work along the Kim Collins Highway too, from the airport down to the freeway road. But they do a little bit and leave the rest bad.
Well, it's the money.
I don't know if money is a problem or something. It's not, because you have to increase taxes so that we could drive on good roads.
Increase taxes is interesting.
Well, as a quite successful Minister of Infrastructure, remember you have to call him aside and give him some advice, something to think about.
And it won't cost him, It won't cost him, but he's too proud for that.
I know I'm telling you do it for people who are interested in the country.
He's too proud.
Anyhow, have a good night, man. I enjoy the program.
Have a good night as well.
Right.
Family. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, thank you for holding. You're live. Hello, caller.
Yeah, hey, Patches, man. Good evening, man. How you doing, man?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, man. My heart goes out to the guy there, man. From Winston. He left his number. He seems like, he has like an outcry. You know what they call testimony, right? His comments tonight was kind of touching because it seems like he gave up some personal testimony to what he experienced in the Federation while he was there. And me myself have some of my own personal experiences too. But praise the Lord, I have gotten over them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The Lord has given me the courage. The Lord gave me the courage to push on through. And in my mind, I'm over most of those setbacks as well. And I want to applaud him, man, because last week, when I made my comments, he backed me up. And I'm backing what we said again last week. Like I've been listening to these talk shows for a few years now. And, I'm just seeing the same old cycle, bro. I was a little boy in Cotton Ground, migrated, and I want to just really say some good remarks to my parents, man, for bringing us out of that situation because, we were like political refugees, man, when we left Cotton Ground, believe it or not. We had it good there, but, we still took the opportunity and left. Kudos to my parents, man. God bless my mother's soul. And, God bless my father where he's at right now. Praise the Lord, he's still living. You know what I'm saying? But, we have a lot of division that's going on in St. Kitts and Nevis, a lot of division in the families. There's a lot going on in St. Kitts and Nevis, man. That 68 square miles, there's a lot going on there. And we see what's going on in Africa right now. And I kind of really wanted to make a correlation, man, because, over in Africa now, we're seeing the French countries, they're standing up for their rights, bro. And they're standing up to guard and protect and preserve their natural resources. When we see wrong, we don't like to call wrong out, man. There's a lot of wrong stuff going on everywhere in this world today, bro. St. Kitts and Nevis is not immune to that. Our families in the St. Kitts and Nevis Islands, we're going through the same vibes. We're going through the vibes everywhere, like everywhere else. But we don't really have no togetherness, bro. We don't have the togetherness. And, when stuff are not, like you said, who feels it knows it. Mm-hmm. If you're not feeling the pinch, you don't care about the man that's feeling it. You know what I mean? A lot of people in St. Kitts and Nevis, they roll on that status issue. They like the status. Once they got that status, they don't really care about the ones that don't have it. You know what I mean? You got to remain humble, man. Why gain the world and lose your soul? True. A lot of us, we're so selfish and self-centered and greedy, bro. And it's destroying us as a black race. In Africa, I want to really applaud those countries, man, those leaders of those military coups that has now risen up and take a stance to guard their own natural resources that the Lord has put in these people's countries, bro. The outsiders, they don't want to leave. And the leaders in the Caribbean, they don't want to speak up in the defense of the continent, bro. They don't want to bridge that gap. There's a lot of Pan-Africanist guys and girls in St. Kitts and Nevis who now has come, they're happy to see what's going on in the continent. But we're not giving the continent no support. When they had apartheid, there was a lot of outcry. Where the guys that should stand up and give some support to those African countries because we're not going to get no more closer to uprising in Africa than we are right now. We'll never get that closer to where we are right now. And while we have the chance now to do something, we should do and say something, bro. We should give support to the African continent, especially to those countries, those French-speaking countries that has now risen up. You know what I mean? It's corruption. That's why these guys are rising up. It's too much corruption everywhere. And Sinkis and Nevis is not immune to it. There's a lot of corruption has been going on in Sinkis and Nevis over all of these years. And my thing is that this CBI program, from when they started this program in 1983 to now, bro, the average man in Sinkis and Nevis, if they know how much money has been raked in that program from since then to now, your people's head will just burst down, will burst, bro. They won't believe how much money you guys don't rake in that program from then to now. But they really can't show where that money's gone and where's that money being spent then. They don't want to have the transparency with that program. And some persons don't like that program at all because they're selling the passports. A lot of people, they don't agree to selling the passport, but that has become a cash cow for the Federation of Sinkis and Nevis. So just like those persons in those countries in Africa that got that natural resources, it's as if like the CBI program became our resource, bro. That's the main resource from since then to now. It seems like it's making more money than the tourist industry that you guys been worshiping also. They don't want to diversify. And that program needs some transparency, because if they don't give the transparency up, bro, the corruption will remain. Because wherever there is money, there is corruption. And it's a lot of money that's being generated in that CBI program, bro. I've been listening for some years now, and I can tell that. But the money has not been spent properly or managed properly. Sinkis and Nevis should not be in the state that they are in now. Can't complete a wing up at the Alexander Hospital in Nevis. Can't complete a project in Sinkis. You know, the hospital in Sinkis is now in shambles. Well, all of these institutions, the place on the whole in general, supposed to be in tip-top notch shape based on the amount of money that they have raked in that CBI program. And that is why they don't want to give the transparency in that program. And until we get that transparency in that CBI program, Sinkis and Nevis is going to stay how it is. This new government that's in right now, they're not picking up the economy. They're not generating no jobs. And the youths them in this federation, bro, they're going to keep killing one another, bro, because there is no jobs. There's no opportunity for jobs in Sinkis and Nevis for the youths. And when these politicians are being recycled and they get that status, and this new cabinet, for instance, they bring back some of these old guys and put them back in these positions. What happened to the younger people or different people or other people who have qualifications? You know what I'm saying? It's just not one set of people that needs to be in those top positions, bro. We need evolution. We need change. Sinkis and Nevis need a drastic change. And if that change don't come, the place is going to stay like this, and your thesis that you have tonight is getting worse. It's going to happen. Your thesis is real. Your thesis tonight is real. And it's going to become a reality of Sinkis and Nevis. If they don't stamp out some of those corruption and they don't give the youths the opportunity that the youths need, then the place is going to stay the same, bro. They talk about transparency and the intangibles during the last elections. And here we are now. Those intangibles are not being put into parliament at all, bro. They're not. You know, and until I see those changes, bro, you call me when these changes start happening, bro. It's time for action. You know what I'm saying? It's too much lip service down in the Federation of Sinkis and Nevis, bro. But I wish you guys the best still. And I'm looking forward if we don't get the change, man, we need protests in the street. We need protests in the street, bro.
Yep.
That's my contribution for tonight, man. But I wish you guys the best going forward. And the youth needs opportunities. Otherwise, the crime rate is going to keep rising. Thanks a lot, man. You guys have a good night, bro.
Thanks a lot. Well said, my dear brother. Thanks for your intervention. And when I heard your voice, I remember you asked a question, I think it was the last program, and I promised to research the facts. You asked about the ambassadors. And if you search the estimates, volume 2 of the estimates, the only approved positions as per the budget, the only approved positions as per the budget are staff positions under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Aviation. It says there's allocations for 2 ambassadors / high commissioners. That's no doubt in the UK and Ottawa. And then there are 5 ambassadors as well approved in the budget. So there's 7 positions as they relate to ambassadors and or high commissioners. And for the individual who posed a question about the director about the audit, the Constitution, as per Section 82, speaks to a director of audit, and saying good night to Miela over there in Rhode Island, just watching, yes, and to Vetty down there in St. Thomas, and all those on my Facebook massive. Here I'm going to get in trouble now because I should have hailed everyone before. But the Section 82 of the Constitution speaks to a director of audit. And subsection 1 reads, the director of audit shall be appointed by the Governor General acting in accordance with the recommendation of the Public Service Commission. In the office of Director of Audit, if the office of the Director of Audit is vacant, or if the whole of that office is for any reason unable to exercise the functions of his or her office, the Governor General, acting in accordance with the recommendation of the Public Service Commission, may appoint a person to act as director. 3. Before making any recommendation for the purposes of subsection 1 or 2, the Public Service Commission shall consult the Prime Minister. A person to act in the office of director shall, subject to 5, 7, and 8, subsections 5, 7, 8, and 9, cease to act. When a person is appointed to hold that office and has assumed the function thereof, or, as the case may be, when the person is in whose place he or she is acting resumes the functions of the office. So a person holding the office of Director of Audit may be removed from office only for inability to exercise the functions of his office, whether arising from the infirmity of the body or mind or any other cause, or for misbehavior, and shall be so removed except in accordance with the provisions of this section, beg your pardon. Director of Audit shall be removed from office by the Governor General if the question of his or her removal from office has been referred to a tribunal appointed under subsection 8. And the tribunal has recommended to the Governor General that he or she ought to be removed for instability as aforesaid. But in a nutshell, though, the Director of Audit, it's supposed to be an independent position appointed as the Constitution stipulates by the Governor General acting in accordance with the Public Service Commission. I do have a call online. I want to thank you, caller, for holding. Are you still there?
Yes, I am still here.
Thank you for holding, sir.
Well, thanks. I managed to get 2 calls in. Like I said, I would have liked to get back in. But the previous caller that just spoke, I think we have something in common. By the way, I'm not ashamed, I'm not afraid to mention my name, because I need the whole world to know me, and I need the whole world to know my objectives. I am a humanitarian. I am a voice for people who are afraid to speak, especially for the people of St. Kitts. I believe the uprising in St. The people in St. Kitts are afraid to uprise against wrong, to call out wrong, because of political retaliation. They are afraid if they speak out of the wrong, they are going to lose their job. And for what their job's worth, They are in need of their paycheck to keep them sustainable. But I will be a voice for you people. And we all out here who understand we are on the mountain to look back and see what's going on down into the valley. So we are speaking for you. We are not trying to make fame for us because it doesn't profit me anything or us who out here anything to gain the world and lose our soul. We are fighters for good, for the human needs. And that's what I'm doing. I see I can make better for my people. Everyone, no stone unturned, I will. And if I should die that way, I will. So people, we are fighting for you. But we got to open your eyes more, wider and wider and wider. Because those so-called literate scholars in St. Kitts, they don't want you all to see what we are seeing. They don't want you all to see what they are seeing. You all are kept down like crabs in barrel. No matter who gets on top, you're going to go back to the bottom. So you all can't get out. You all don't have the ability to foresee. So get rid of the recycled politicians. Get rid of every damn one of them and give a new chance to new intelligent minds. Quantumize your leap of faith. Vote for dignity. Dignity will do it.
Okay, my brother, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your intervention. My Stray Dog family, I'm afraid I'm out of time. I'll just dispense of these emails before I wrap. Good evening, Mr. Liburd. Hope you're staying safe. My heart goes out to the family of the latest homicide victim. A young man has left home to go and do an honest day's work and loses his life to some coward who stabs him in the back. All of these homicides for a small island, and neither the Minister of National or the police high command is saying anything. How many of these perpetrators have been caught and convicted? Please pray for St. Kitts. We need to hear from these protectors of the law. Read this email. This email also reads, Brother Patches, we need to find out who tested the water at the well in Keon. They are saying that the water was tested according to WHO standards, but never said by whom. Well, if the Bureau of Standards, Ministry of Health, or Water Department, what is a regional lab? Beg your pardon. What is the Bureau of Standards' point of view? We need to know. If it's the same as the Shadwell well, they closed down. The man up there don't make jokes, so I want to know who tested that water. I need to be sure before I drink any of that water. Something feels wrong about the messaging and the messengers, beg your pardon. And this final email reads, my Straight Talk family. Let me get this up on the screen. Where is that? This final email reads, my Straight Talk family. Good night, Patches. How come when Labour is in power, the murder rate increases? Just trying to understand, reads that email. And my Straight Talk family, you may have joined me late, and you do have the ability to go back and listen to the program on Facebook or YouTube. But we focus, beg your pardon, on our theme, our thesis for tonight, rather, which we titled Things in St. Kitts Nevis Are Getting Worse. We advance the view tonight that politics and the lack of policy are paralyzing the country. On many counts, we refer to our poverty, health, safety, food security, And though not exhaustive, we also spoke to climate change and concluded that things are much, much worse than they used to be. And they were not necessarily put in order of the impact they have made on our people. Because here in St. Kitts and Nevis on a regular basis, we hear of so many shocking stories of people going hungry or begging in order to survive since the advent of this new Jew administration. We hear shocking stories about crime and violence, including the high-day armed robberies. And this can only tell us that in St. Kitts and Nevis, we have a crisis within multiple crises. Rising food and fuel costs, together with ever worsening financial conditions, are affecting thousands of people here in St. Kitts and Nevis. More troubling, in particular for our senior citizens who are already on low or no income, the situation is bleak. And even more so, our current leaders have not advanced any solutions whatsoever. We spoke to, or we played for you the cry of a mother, a single mother. And this was not all she said. This was just part of what she said, my Stray Dog family.
You know, I think, you know, it's getting tougher and tougher and tougher. Imagine a little tin of sardine for $5. It's ridiculous, Mr. Prime Minister, and we really need a help going to the supermarket to shop, especially for single parents with, you know, children with about 2-3 children in the home. We do have a rough time.
A rough time. But what is even more sad is that the Prime Minister had no answer for this cry of this lady. The poor in St. Kitts are getting poorer. The lack of progress made under Dr. Drew in our federation's continuing efforts to tackle poverty. Since Drew assumed office over 1 year ago, thousands of people have been thrusted into extreme poverty, my Straight Dog family. He pledged to increase the PAP, but he reduced the budget, my Straight Dog family. Under the Drew administration, people got sick but no longer wanted to go to the Jane France General Hospital. Our health system is deteriorating day by day. It's getting worse and not better. And we may soon find that the only outcome to this dilemma, if nothing seriously is done, is for more patients to die at the General Hospital, the JN France General Hospital. My Street Dog family, climate change has derived a demand for renewable energy. And Team Unity took steps to introduce the largest solar farm within the Caribbean, with no capital outlay whatsoever from the government, in a public-private partnership arrangement, which Kellogg would have owned, as built, in 20 years, my Straight Dog family. He has told the country about renegotiating the project, but it is such a blatant lie. But my Straight Dog family, they would all live to regret their actions. The working class under the Drew administration is suffering, and suffering the most, as I told you about PAP. Imagine they are building 2,400 houses, they claim. But not for the most vulnerable. They are for the bankable persons. In closing, our deteriorating health environment is manifested daily at our health institutions. And there's no discrimination as a baby dies at birth A matured woman suddenly dies after a simple operation. A man warded after a biopsy. And a young lawyer died under dubious circumstances. We can't vanish the truth on Straight Talk. That's the truth. And we have to tell you the truth. And my Straight Talk family, murders, our crime rate, which has gotten so bad, leads us to worry about our safety and security. People's feelings are pent up. Some are angry and some are afraid to walk the streets again under Dr. Drew, who is the Minister of National Security. His record reflects 29 murders in 13 months. 21 of them from January to September this year. My Straight Talk family. The last one committed just tonight before coming on here. My Straight Talk family. Poverty, violence, and a deteriorating health system, in addition to other awful news heard day after day in our country. But what happens, which is rather offensive, Drew and all the members of his cabinet, along with their large body of ambassadors and special advisors, spend more time traveling out of the country rather than remaining inside and advancing solutions to our problems. It's like as if they are running away from the problems instead of finding solutions for them. And we know if you run from a problem, it will never be solved. That is why each day, my Straight Talk family, things in St. Kitts Nevis are getting worse. That's my story tonight, and I am not going to change it. But I want to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight. And as always, I want to thank all of you who listen on social media, YouTube, Facebook, those who send emails and those who called. Remember, you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. I am Ian Patches Liburd, and God's Spear, we will connect on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk. Until that time, be good to yourselves and to all whom you meet. And remember that whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. Of course, first of all, you must believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you to the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Thursday.
The morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food and loving care, and for my mother's breath of life that's got me here. So whatever my mind conceives, that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now, I'll keep moving on, till I reach the top somehow, down on my knees. The Lord I kneel and pray, with my heart and soul, beg Him to take me through each day, my guardian to keep, and my guide, over every step I take, He will preside. So whatever my mind conceives, that I will brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on, I gotta reach the top somehow.